One of the primary mitzvahs spoken about in this week's parsha is something that we are doing every single night from Pesach to Shavuos. From the second day of Pesach until right before Shavuos, our job is to count the Emor, to count the days in between those Yamim Tovim. One of the famous halachos when it comes to Sfiras HaEmor is that every single night you're meant to make a bracha. However, if you do miss a night of counting, if you do not count for a full 24-hour period, you continue to count the number of the Emor, but you do not say the bracha for the rest of the year. But if you really think about why we do that, it doesn't make much sense. The rabbis in general have a big argument if the counting of the Emor is one long mitzvah, one long commandment, or is it a new commandment every night? And either way you look at it, you have a problem. Because if counting the Emor is one long commandment, why do we make a bracha every night? It seems like we're trying to separate it. But on the other hand, if every night is a separate mitzvah, if every night is a separate commandment to count the Emor, if you miss out on one night, why can't you continue to count with the bracha? It's a separate mitzvah. Logically, this halacha makes no sense. So explains the Rebbe, in order to understand this, we have to really understand what Sfiras HaEmor actually is. Because it's not just aimlessly counting numbers every night that absolutely mean nothing to you except for how long until Shavuos. It's all part of one big picture. Because if you notice and you look in the Torah, you find that from Pesach to Shavuos, whenever the Torah recounts the days, it counts the days from leaving Mitzrayim. In the first month from when they left Egypt, in the second month from when they left Mitzrayim, in the third month from when they left Mitzrayim, showing that the entire period from Pesach to Shavuos is all one big exodus, and that we only truly left Mitzrayim once the counting was complete, once we got the Torah. And what that tells us is that the counting of the Emor was more than just counting down. It was a process of self-refinement. Every night of the Emor has a corresponding sphira, has a corresponding attribute, and every time you make a bracha and you count the Emor, you refine that part of your body up until 49 attributes later, 49 days later, you get fully elevated and you are a full, complete man for the rest of the year. And therefore, even after the Jews left Egypt, they were still never fully free until they fully refined themselves after those 49 days. So now, all of a sudden, Sphira is not just one big countdown. It is a full-blown avodah, a full-blown service every single night, refining a particular part of your body. And now we can answer our questions. Every single night we have a new mitzvah to count the Emor. But the way it works is, if you missed a day, you cannot continue to count with the bracha. Because how can you say today is the third day of the Emor if you never counted the second? It's all one big build-up. So if you forgot a bracha, while it doesn't invalidate all of the things that you did before, the blessings that you said before are not in vain, but you cannot continue to count further, because at that point the ship has sailed, you missed the boat. And spiritually that applies as well. The Torah gives us an order of how to refine ourselves. Every single night we start with chesed shebe chesed and we end off with malchus shebe malchus, the spectrum of the different attributes that are elevated. But if you miss a day in between, you break the order. The elevation won't come as complete, and therefore while you do continue to count, you do so without a bracha. And the lesson for us is very clear, because not just do we need to be careful about counting the Emor every single night with the bracha, we have to understand what it means. It's not a 5-second symbolic service remembering and counting down between Pesach and Shavuos. It's a time to sit down and think, is the attribute that I'm refining right now being used for the holiness, or is it being used chas v'shalom for the opposite? And if we truly master that mindset, if we truly grasp what it means, coming out of Sphira, we will really be a complete person. And by doing that, we will be able to go out and properly elevate the world, and ultimately bringing the true completion with the coming of Mashiach. May he come speedily in our days. Wishing you a good Shabbos.